what was your name again?
Yes. And I'm so bad at remembering names. I really am bad at that.
So people say that all the time.
Yes.
And then it leads to the next statement, which is what you just said. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. Or you talk for a minute or two, and then you say, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. What was your name again?
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
You're pretty good. You're good at remembering faces.
I
You
never
have a
forget
thing
a
with
face.
faces. I don't know.
Yeah, I never
weird.
forget a face. But there's so much power and significance in using somebody's name.
Yeah.
And so, our conversation today we're talking about is how important it is essentially to remember somebody's name and why. And then along with that, maybe a technique. I know one that I use is pretty common. I didn't make it up, but that helps me remember people's name.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do
That's
that.
good, yeah.
How about that?
Okay, sounds
Hey,
good.
so if you're new here, this is Conversations Left Behind. And I'm Shawn.
And I'm Kori.
And basically these are just raw, unedited videos, except for the little intro that comes at the very beginning. But outside of that, there's no chopping, there's no editing or any of that. What you see is what you get. So, hey, we're not professionals here, so there may be bloopers. If there are, they're here.
I randomly
and
laugh.
you get to see them in real time. But thanks for joining us. If you do like the conversation, hey, we'd love for you to like or subscribe. It helps us kind of expand our reach, and we are a brand new channel, so we're excited to just have conversations and hope that we can leave something behind that is beneficial to you or our children or really
Grandkids,
anybody for that matter. But we're having fun with it, so thanks for being along for the ride. But we do hope that you subscribe and join in the conversation with us, because we love to see comments and what other people are thinking too. And again, we're not experts here. We're just having open conversations and hoping that, we can all help build each other.
Yep.
So with that, since we don't have like a cut, nothing
Let's dive
fancy,
in.
okay, and then start. Here we go.
Yep.
So back to the topic we were talking about.
Yep.
The power of a person's name and how important it is. And it was funny because I remember when there's this guy named Richard.
Okay.
Okay. Have you heard me talk about Richard?
I don't know. You have to keep going so I can remember.
Okay.
Richard.
So at the company, so I'm obviously, for those who don't know, self-employed, have a manufacturing company and some stuff that we do. And one of them, with the manufacturing company, there's a lot of tractor trailers coming and going on a regular basis in and out of the company, delivering, picking up, whatever, just moving goods. Common thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to me to make sure people know that they're important to me and they matter. And I always kind of have this kind of draw to the underdog, and this was one of those stories. So my buddy Richard is one of those stories. Yeah, Richard. So Richard works for a packaging company.
Okay.
And we order some, we may have, 5-10 pallets at a time that come in packaging material boxes, basically cardboard boxes, just part of stock of what we'll use and what, our folks, package, products up in and ship out across the globe, whatever. So he brings those pallets. Well, I'll tell you, first of all, this company, the prices are good, so that's why we use them, but their packing slip is terrible. And difficult to understand. It never adds up right, and it's super confusing. So whenever a delivery comes in, we always get the call up in the offices, hey, can you come back or to somebody, or hey, do you know what was on this PO? They're trying to get the PO.
Yeah.
Basically to find out what was ordered, because the packing slip of what was delivered never seems to look right, and it's challenging at best. So the driver, obviously, it's always an awkward thing for the drivers because they don't know.
Yeah. They're just delivering the
They're just
stuff.
delivering it, yeah. So they drove it there and they deliver it, and they're waiting while, our folks will offload, fork all the pallets off the truck, and then once they're off, they're standing there waiting around, like this, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, there are good delivery guys and there are not so good delivery guys.
Oh, man.
I mean, some of them, they just kick back, they're playing on the phone, they're of no help at all.
Yeah.
So this guy, he came by and I happened to walk back there while they were unloading. And this was years, this goes way back. This goes back probably 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I walked back and I'm like, hey man, how you doing today? As I walked back, and he goes, good, how are you? As he was just standing there waiting for us to unload his truck. And I don't remember, somebody was unloading him, but he was just kind of waiting around. And I said, what's your name, by the way? And he goes, I'm Richard. And he puts his hand out, real nice guy. And older guy, he's probably about, 10, 12 years older than me. And his name was Richard. And I said, Richard, it's great to meet you, and so we went on about our day, and I just kind of let him know. I said, hey, thanks for your patience. They should have you unloaded here in just a little bit. And I mentioned to him, I said, these tickets are always a little bit challenging to read. And he's like, I know. So that was it, just little pleasantries. Well, about a month later, he's back again. And we hadn't seen him before that point. He was a new driver.
Oh, okay.
He comes back, and I happened to catch that he was back again. And so I walked back and I said, Richard, how you doing, buddy? And man, this guy's face went from this to, he just lit up. He lit up.
Something.
And I did it because I felt like, hey, this is a guy who probably doesn't get a lot of praise, number one. Yeah. Doesn't get much recognition, number two. He's driving a truck all day. He's doing a good job. He's a great guy. But, there's just, because of his job, he's just not in a spot where he probably gets a lot of praise.
Yeah.
So he even said to me, he said, you remembered my name. And I said, well, of course I did, Richard.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
And he lit up. Now, let's fast forward. Richard and I are old buddies now.
Well, yeah.
We know what kind of cars we both like.
Oh my goodness.
I know what kind of he's got an old Mustang he's collecting. He's had in his garage for 15 years that he's super proud of with low miles. He's got a grandson who's got his eyeball after it, but he won't sell it. And Richard gets frustrated with, the economy and his retirement package. And he'll share with me all the things that, he's struggling with in these little moments of time we have when Richard's delivering something. When Richard comes by, he asks, hey, is Shawn around?
I was going to ask you, does he obviously by now he knows your name?
Yeah. He knows my name, and he knows, I run the company or whatever. And he says, I don't want to bother him, but if he's around, just at least tell him Richard said hello.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so it's super cool, but it reminds me and it enforces the fact that there is power in remembering people's names. Yeah. And so many people getting that trap of thinking, they can't remember somebody's name.
Right.
Well, everybody can remember somebody's name, and I'm bad at it too, but what it is it's not that you can't remember it, it's that you're not focused enough and you don't see them as valuable enough.
Right.
At least this is what it tells them. Yeah. To remember their name.
Yeah, and I agree. I remember you telling me, it was years ago, and it was like making phone calls, for instance. Write down the name. Like if someone says their name, write their name down for many reasons.
Yeah, multiple reasons.
Now I make sure I do that, and there's one specific time I remember, it wasn't that long ago, I think we lived here, when I was had to get my windshield repaired, and I was talking to the lady on the phone, and she was not in a good mood, not very happy, whatever, and very short.
That's always fun.
And so I'm like, oh goodness. Anyway, but I wrote her name down.
By the way.
Oh no, me either. Anyway, so as the conversation went on, like I used her name during the conversation, because it was something that was taking a little time and whatever. And I'm like, thank you, whatever her name was, so much for taking the time out to help me fix this, figure it out. And that totally changed her. Yeah, she was totally a different person after that. Oh, you're so welcome. And just totally changed her just because I said, thank you, whatever her name was, for doing this. And I guess it just, it totally changed her. But I was like, and going back to what you just said about people feeling not important or whatever because they can't remember your name. And there was a time that, and this could be a whole nother topic, but anyway, a time where I remember when...
Let's just do this topic right now.
Well, we are, but I'm saying where we were doing something, and it was always like, everybody always remembered your name, but never could remember my name, and I was just Shawn's wife. Yeah, and so there was a time where I felt like...
topic.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, why, having that feeling like, how come nobody can remember my name type of thing. It makes you feel very... Yeah,
like you don't matter,
right? Type of thing.
And I don't know what that was. It makes me feel bad, but I don't,
years ago.
I don't know what it was.
Anyway, it was just I'm saying I can understand that point, but what a difference it makes in someone's life just by using their name. And you said that, you've always said that, and I'm curious to hear how you're remembering people's names now, because I am bad at that. But I don't want people to think I'm not valuing them, but I just am not good at remembering names.
Yeah. So let's push that off just a little bit and
keep going.
Try to understand more the psychology of why is it so important. And in my mind, now obviously I am not a psychologist, I'm not an expert by any means. This is simply just what I feel like I've understood from dealing with people over a long period of time. And being in business, so I talk to a lot of people, and I deal with a lot of people who can be quite challenging sometimes, because I'm the cleanup guy.
Yeah, I've been with you in situations. Yeah.
Yeah, when push comes to shove, if there's challenges all down the line with our team or whatever else, guess whose plate it lands on last?
Yeah.
I'm the cleanup guy. So I've learned that it's super important to have triggers and keywords, and that most people feel unappreciated.
Yeah.
Our whole business is wrapped around that concept.
Exactly. Yes.
So we hand build awards and recognition programs for companies to use to give to their employees. But what we say we really build are reminders of appreciation, tangible reminders of appreciation that have their name on them.
Exactly.
And that name on that award or that gift that's saying, hey, we recognize you for this or that, whatever it may be, is so powerful, and it fulfills this intrinsic desire to be recognized.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Our whole company is built on that premise. I didn't put those two together in the early days. The more mature Shawn and the more experienced Shawn, as you collect years in life, have slowly put that together.
Right.
And now I realize, wow, what I learned here and what we were doing here really play together just like this. They are the same. We are just taking that name that we're trying to make sure we remember in conversation when we're meeting and talking with people. And the same premise applies on a custom award or something, or a personalized gift that is made for somebody where you put their name on it. And it has a powerful impact, They're the same thing.
Right.
So I've realized a few things about it. And I really think that it comes down to, we're super fast paced, in this culture. Everything's move, get results. And most people are overlooked. And sometimes the people who draw the most attention are those in the spotlight or those up front, maybe, to where you remember their name and they're more prominent for whatever reason. Maybe
more outgoing,
maybe so, but those who are in the trenches in the day-to-day, maybe a phone operator or a Richard who's just dropping off goods at different companies and doesn't get a lot of relationship time because they just see him as a truck, give us our stuff, see you, have a nice day, sign here, that type of stuff. Those people are everywhere. They're everywhere. And I think that the real premise is we're talking about building relationships and making people feel like they're important because they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because you're doing it to manipulate them to get something from them, but because you're doing it from a place of saying, hey, just because I may have this role in my career, my job, whatever it is, or maybe I have this financial status and you have that financial status, all the things that separate, maybe you live over here, maybe I live over there, those things really don't matter.
Exactly.
It's really about, I see you and I recognize you and I care enough to remember your name when I meet you. that has impact.
Oh, totally. And just like at the store, the grocery store, when people are checking you out, or if you have people anymore that check you out. But anyway, we do
that.
I mean, you do it, and I've done it too, as far as saying thank you. No, I'm saying the name of the person.
I know. I'm surprised. Good for you.
Yeah, because it does, and I'm aware of it because you've done it, and it just shows, like, we've talked about these kind of things, and it does make a difference in people, especially if you see someone's just kind of just. They just brighten up. Some people are very happy, just happy people, but others are just, you can see it. You can see it on their face that they're just not. Yeah. So, and when you say their name, it changes. They get a smile on their face, and I think because they don't expect it, because most people they're just doing their job, and that's it. There are studies I've read that suggest that there's an endorphin rush when people hear their name. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So, and I think, again, it's that feeling of value. Everybody has that intrinsic desire in feeling to be seen or recognized. So I think it's really important, because here's what I know. There have been times now when we have challenges with, let's divert back to Richard. Okay. We have challenges with deliveries. Yes. In fact, this same company has delivered, 12, 15 pallets, a truck full of the wrong goods before. Oh my gosh. And this same company, we always say, hey, call, because, these are a lot of pallets. We have to shift around in the factory, so the forklifts have to be, available, and what's going where and all this. And it can be logistically challenging to tie up the dock. You got to prepare. Please make sure when this order is finished that you notify us when delivery will occur. Yeah. And they just show up. Oh my gosh. And they have a mountain of pallets. Yep. And, we move a lot of product fast and furious in and out of that dock. Yeah. So it can be locked up and create a lot of challenges of, maneuvering. So they never do. They never call. Drives me bonkers. I always hear about it. And I'm like, we have a whole truck here, but we don't have space. And I told him, I said, reject it. Send it back. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah. But anyway, when Richard's there, he knows that the packing slips are challenging, as I mentioned before. Yeah. Well, Richard will be there with it, and he's teaching. I've seen him teaching some of our guys back there, saying, hey, let's do this together. Oh, that's cool. And that's because of our relationship, because he knows I appreciate him. Yep. And so he's not like this driver he started as, or most of the drivers where they just kind of sit back, play on their phone, and wait for you. Are you done? He feels valued. See ya. Yeah. Yeah. And appreciated. So he gets in, he knows we're friends, and he steps in and he helps them get through it, understand it, check them off, whatever time he needs. It's a relationship. Cool. Yeah. So it's not just hey, you're a delivery guy where a company is waiting for the delivery. Okay, sign here, see ya. Yeah. There's a personal interaction, and that changes everything. Yeah, that's pretty cool. From back when you first you met him, and remembering his name has come to that now where he's helping. Yeah. The people. That's pretty cool. Awesome guy. Yeah. It's a powerful story that stuck with me. And what's cool about it is some of the others there, when I step back and I'm Richard, they know, the people in the company know I'm usually pretty locked up. Yeah. So I don't get out much, in that area. So when Richard comes, they know that I'll make a point to say hello to him. Do they tell you Richard's coming or Richard's here? No, or? Richard will often ask and say, hey, can you just tell Shawn I said hello? And if I know, I'll step back and say hello just to keep, touch on that relationship. But that little act has paid off for all these almost 15 years. Yeah, that's crazy. He watches out for us. He chastises his service manager, saying, did you call them to let them know? Yes. Wow, so he's really helping. He's got our back. Yeah. He's got our back. And why? It's for one reason, because he knows we value and appreciate him. And I think I think if everybody kind of saw that as, it's not just forgetting somebody's name. You're showing them that you don't have value for them. Right. Whether I don't think it's with intent. Right, it's not. I don't think, and an example of this was just the other day, a couple days ago, we were, out of town, and walking through a home, and the agent, we were talking, he said something, he used my name, and I'm like, I don't remember his name. I have no idea what his name is. I didn't know, but I did it just kind of like, wait, what? He remembered my name after like a 2-second introduction. But it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I had no idea what his name was.
So, that's funny.
I felt so bad.
I did the same.
Yeah. You're usually.
We're not claiming to be.
Oh gosh, no.
Perfect at this, but we're just sharing some insights that, hey, we know this is a thing.
Yeah.
And we tried to work on this, but I did the same thing. So we were walking through this new construction home. We were considering investing in, and the agent was there.
Yes.
And the builder was there. So I immediately took more interest in the builder.
You guys hit it off, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot in common.
Than the agent. He ended up kind of being back here.
He was kind of with me, kind of coming and talking to me a little bit. And
the builder and I, we were kind of going at it and just kind of having, a good old bro time.
You were.
Because we were
a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Our mindsets were the same and build logistics and components and the pride and detail of the build.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed that conversation, but you're right, and I failed there because I forgot to. Andy, yeah. Now I know his name. Super nice guy, by the way.
Yeah, he was great.
But you jumped off in the conversation. I jumped off in the conversation, and I hate saying, what was your name again?
Yeah, I know. That's the worst because then it does make people feel like, okay, why didn't you remember it the first time? Like, yeah.
So let's talk about one of the ways when I remember.
Yeah.
And somebody shared this with me. So this was a pastor of a church. He was the lead pastor of a big church in the area. I won't say the names, but anyway, a friend of ours, and we were talking about names, and he was saying basically, I'm really bad with names, and I'm like, I know, it's a common thing, and I told him, I said, but I really feel like it's really lack of being attentive to how important that is. It's not that people are doing it with intent, but they just don't understand how important it is.
Right.
So he's like, no, I totally agree. We were on the same page, and so he said, here's one of the things that I do. Because he has thousands of members.
Right, that's what I was saying. That would be so hard.
Can you imagine?
No.
Every time a new face comes in and you're trying to remember a name. But here's the thing, if that person walks out and you're like, hey, what was your name again? Now, I avoid that at all costs. I'm like, hey, it's great to see you.
Yeah.
It's great to meet you.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, but if you can use their name, it's much more powerful. But you need that in the very beginning stages of a relationship. You need several touch points.
Yeah.
And it significantly shortens the time length of bonding and making a connection and remembering each other. So here's how that goes. You make an attempt to use their name when you first meet them 3 times in your conversation.
Okay.
More if you can, just as long as it doesn't sound, unusual.
Yeah.
So in other words, like, you want to role play?
Okay.
Can you do that?
I'll try.
Who you want to be?
I'll be Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Why such a long name?
Okay. Liz.
Liz.
I don't know. I'm just thinking. Okay.
Well, you just make it harder.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Liz.
Okay,
Hey,
you're
who are
Liz.
you?
So I'll just be Shawn.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Then why do I have to be someone else?
I guess you don't.
Okay.
Okay, you want to be Kori?
Yeah. It's easier.
This is really stupid. Okay.
I'm just going along with what you're saying.
Okay, so you're Kori. So if we were meeting the first time, then, if you said just, hey, I'm Kori, and I'm like, hey, Kori, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So, Kori, are you from this area? And, you would give a response.
Yeah.
Just give me a response.
Sure. Yes, I am.
That's it? That's the best response?
Okay,
yes, I am.
Yes, I am from Bowen. I don't know. Just say something. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Have you been here before, Kori?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, you are just the epitome of long answers, aren't you? Wow. Okay.
Well, I don't want to drag it out.
No, I know. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then
that's good though.
So do you is your husband and children here with you today, Kori, or what's that look like?
Yeah, that's
Just
that's
you look
really
for
good.
whatever opportunity without like, hey, Kori,
Right. And
whatever
asking
to
questions.
be as natural as possible, asking questions.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's forming this picture with that name, and it's solidifying the two in your mind to where you remember them.
Yeah, that's really good.
You remember them. And then obviously, hey, Kori, it was fantastic meeting you. Thank you so much for showing up.
I've heard you do this. Yeah, I've heard you do this.
So I just gave away my secret?
No, but that's really good.
So now you're going to be judging me like, oh, he's trying to remember their name.
No, that's a good thing. It's not judging. It'd be great. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just
teasing. It's a good tool to use.
So that's what I do, and it's been tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
It's more challenging on the phone. So I have a lot of phone conversations.
Yeah, you do.
So, but I'll do the same thing. The nice thing about being on the phone is a lot of times if it's like a coach type call or a conversation or a new customer or whatever, first thing I do is I'm writing down their name. So it's sitting in front of me. Because when you get on a roll and you're pitching or whatever else, a lot of times you're like, wait, who am I talking to? I mean, everybody's at the point where you dial a phone number and you're like, wait a minute, who am I calling?
Oh yeah.
maybe it's just me. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I've called my mom, or I've called. Yeah,
you've called me trying to call your mom.
And I pressed the one called mom just because I'm so used to hearing the kids call you mom. So then my mom answers, and I'm like, oh, sorry, wrong mom. I'm like, hey, mom.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh.
Anyway.
But yeah, I do the writing down. That's what in my example earlier. But yeah, I always write down people's name. And then use it, thank you for helping, whatever, before you hang up.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that's it.
Yeah.
Let's bring it home.
Okay.
So the key things that we're trying to share is, number one, a person's name is much more than just their name. So it's a foundational relationship building moment that you have that can really change how somebody sees you, because you're showing them that I have interest in you. I value meeting you. And I think that's super important. So, try the questions where when you first meet somebody, my rule is 3. If I can do it more, great. And then anytime I see them, I make certain I use their name.
Yeah.
If I remembered it.
If you remember.
So,
yeah.
No,
and you can ask them more questions with this if you remember the answers.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The more you get to know somebody by asking those questions, the more their name solidifies in your mind with the picture you're building. Because when you don't have, the problem is we think in images, and until we have enough images to attach a name to, it doesn't stick.
Yeah, and then using them like you're saying the name, and then say, "Oh, hey, how are your kids?" Or how are you remember? It just shows even another.
Well,
level
I ask those kind of questions because then I pictured a couple faceless little kids. I don't know what they look like yet or anything else, but or about your husband and kids or whatever else. Or you're here with your family, whatever it may be. Yeah. Because I'm building a picture, and as you build that picture, what happens is that name becomes more prominent to attach it to it. That's how I operate. It may be helpful for somebody, but
yeah, that's really good.
It's been beneficial for me. So, the power of a person's name. I hope that was helpful. We'll see you next time.